Hi, it's Jemma, aka Aussie Bookworm, and in case I haven't come up with a good title yet, let me tell you what this video is going to be about. Alright, so in trying to think of a topic, the only thing that kind of really stuck in my mind, or I kept coming back to, was the wonder and nostalgia that you get from books that spark something when you read them as like an early adolescent. So, from kind of like maybe 9, 10 to 15. And I, in this last kind of year, have been in a real like reread mood, and I've been rereading all of my favorite nostalgia books or favorite books. My favorite books from that time period. So I thought I would share them with you. And then hopefully I get to hear from you guys what your books are. Something I'll say as well before I go on is that some of these books I find when you read them at that age, they're just like, they trigger something in you that is so joyful, that you're able to hold on to that no matter how maybe poorly written that is, or whatever it happens to be, that you can pick it up 10 years down the track and it's still amazing, even though maybe it's not as like technically perfect, or like there's plot holes or whatever it is, but there's still something inside of you that is just twinkling. So I hope you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, the first one I'm going to start with is one that most people probably feel, Harry Potter. I know lots of people who've read this as adults and been like, I don't know what the hype is about. But those of us who read it as kids, you know what's up. Especially in the having to like wait each year, like as the next book was released. Yeah, I feel like I don't really need to say much about Harry Potter. It's probably the most nostalgic or most commonly nostalgic book out there. The next one, I only have the spin-offs. When I moved, I had to have a huge cull of books because you can see my bookcase there. I had like at least 3 times the amount of books there. So I donated or sold most of them. And anyway, my actual number 4 books got lost. The Lorien Legacy books got lost. Or when I say lost, I have either donated them accidentally, or maybe I lent them to someone, but I've asked everyone I could have possibly lent them books and they all say that they don't have them. But anyway, I recently just rebought them. But yes, the Lorien Legacy books by Pittacus Law. Loved these books as a teenager. I went on a holiday with my family, and I was reading them all to my parents out loud, and they were just really wrapped, and that's like a really special memory because we didn't really do family holidays. I think we maybe did like 3. So yeah, like for me, when I reread them, that's like, I guess it's not just like the joy that I got from reading them, but the joy of that time is like kind of bundled up into them. I recently just reordered like a week ago the actual Lorien Legacies, so I'm going to reread them. The one I'm rereading at the moment is John Marsden's The Tomorrow When the War Began series. There are 7 books in this series and then 3 spin-offs. I'm currently on the first Ellie Chronicles, which is the first spin-off. So this is an Australian series. A lot of Aussies probably know this from having to read it or study it in high school, but I discovered it before then. I actually don't know how I discovered it. I think my neighbour, Kimberly, might have introduced me to this. Anyway, I love them. I read them like 2 or 3 times a year. I did like assessments on them, that even though like I wasn't studying it, I did my final HSC individual performance on this book, And yeah, it's very nostalgic. And rereading this, I hadn't read it in 10 years because I lent it to one of my good friends, and then that was in 2013, and I got it back late last year. But she did take very good care of it. And anyway, it's just amazing how similar I was, or how much I wanted to be like this main character who... So the story is about like Australia getting invaded by a foreign nation, and Ellie and her friends were camping, and then they don't get captured, and they like end up being guerrillas. It's really good, but yeah, just how much I think I based my thinking off Ellie's thinking is amazing. How much I saw of young me in her, and partly I think that's probably why I liked it so much, but also I think like this character really shaped who I was at that time in my life, because she's a farm girl. Okay, City Bones. This is the first book in the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. My cousin introduced me to this series when there was this book and the second book, and Cass Clare is my favourite author, and I'm like, she's still putting books out in this series, so I'm still like full of wonder and amazement and joy. And yeah, so this is the original book that I got, and just to show you, like, the first time I read this series there were 2 books, so you can see if I put that in there, it's like they're all the right size except these 2, and I won't get rid of them because they're just too special. Like, while I'm here, actually, maybe I should talk about Aragon. I only read them maybe 2 or 3 times, and I would like to read them again. I actually don't know if I finished the 4th book or not, because it was so long between the 3rd and the 4th coming out. I think I probably would have, though. I think I read that maybe in uni. Anyway, the last one I want to talk about is not a well-known one. It is called The Valley of Secrets by Charmy and Hussey, and just like, look at that cover. It's beautiful. So I was sick, and my mum went to the library and got this for me. I just like, she randomly picked it out, and I read it, and I loved it so much. And I read this book at least once a year. I also have it on audiobook, and I listen to that a lot. I love it so much. It's about this 18-year-old who was an orphan, and he finds out that he has inherited his great uncle's like manor house, and so he like walks there through the Cornish countryside, and when he gets there, he's just like discovering the house and the I want to say garden, but it's like the land around it, but it's really overgrown. And he finds his great uncle's journals about his trips to the Amazon rainforest, and it just is magic for me, even though it's not magic at all. It's actually really scientific, and it does a really good job, I think, of educating young minds about both like the ecological disaster of deforestation, and then also like the ethical and moral disaster of the destruction of culture, of people, of land, of Indigenous peoples. So this is specifically talking about like the people of the Amazon rainforest, and you get to know these like different characters from the journals that Stephen's reading from his great uncle, and yeah, it's beautiful. And I read this to my year 6 class a few years ago, and I'm a teacher. They really liked it. I don't think they loved it as much as I did, but that's fine. But I have got people to read this because it is one of my favourite books, and people don't usually love it. My cousin and my dad, I made them listen to the audiobook on a road trip, and they didn't like it. And I feel like I've made other people read it and they didn't like it either. So I feel like this one is a real special one for me, and one that no matter how many times I read it, And when I think about like what's special about it, I know, but it's all things that are special for me. And I think it's about, just finding a book that was like a standalone book, not a popular book, but a book that really spoke to me and that I loved. And yeah, that's a 10-minute video. So I'm going to go. Bye. Oh, please tell me what your books are. What's your nostalgia wonder books? Okay, going for real. Bye.